the Radio Forest Podcast.
All right, how you doing?
Good. Robby Krieger, Ed Roth, welcome.
Good morning.
Congratulations on the new album. I like it. It's funky, it's jazzy, it's all kinds of things. How long have these songs existed? Because I've seen some videos of you guys performing live a few years ago together.
Yeah, some of them, we started really recording a couple years ago. And when did we do the last song? Maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Not a rush job.
And what kinds of instruments have you guys cycled through? Obviously, we've got guitars and keyboards, but on Samosas and Kingfishers, I saw the sitar in there too, and I've heard some other sounds throughout the album. So what else have you guys used?
Great percussion player, Ed's buddy, his name is Rock.
Rock Dedrick.
Rock Dedrick. He wrote a lot of great stuff. And Kingfisher song, I used the sitar, electric sitar. I used the slide guitar on songs. Ed got to use his favorite stuff, which is the real Hammond organ with Leslie and the real electric piano and real piano. I got this great Yamaha 1972 piano.
We're talking to Robby Krieger and Ed Roth. It's Robby Krieger and the Soul Savages. Self-titled album is out now. Robby, when's the first time the sitar came in your radar? For me, it was the Stones. What about you?
Well, for me, it was in the early 60s. I heard Ravi Shankar for the first time, and just really blew me away because I never had heard anything like that before. And, you know, at that time, I was just getting into the meditation thing, and that's kind of where John Densmore and I met Ray Manzarek, was at Maharishi's meditation meeting. And the guy who introduced Ray to Maharishi was a guy named Dick Bach, who had a record company. What was that company called? World Pacific. And they did a lot of stuff from India. So they're the ones that brought the sitar into our vision.
Now, Ed, what about you? I know you've had quite a bit of success in other places like Greece, Italy, and Hungary. Have you had chances to travel to those places and perform, or India, like Robby was talking about?
You know, I have not been to those particular places. Seems like I've been everywhere else: Japan, Korea, Australia, all over Europe, everywhere. It seems like, but Greece and Hungary. It seems like there's such a great support for live music in some places outside the U.S. I think also when you get out of some of the big cities, I know that sounds funny, but there's almost a bigger support for live music when you get out of like Los Angeles, where everybody's a musician or an actor. You know, there's still some great places here to play. There's the Baked Potato. There's Herb Alpert's Vibrato. There's some good spots, the Canyon Clubs, but it's interesting that when you get outside of the LA area, it seems to be better to play out. I know that sounds funny, but that's been my experience.
Now, I noticed in two of your guys' videos, again, talking about Samosas and Kingfishers and then Ricochet Rabbit, both of them feature scenes where you guys are smoking, or at least smoking is in the videos. Is smoking or pot kind of a thing for the band? Or is that more of just a video treatment and that happened to be in there?
Well, for me, it's definitely...
Go ahead, Ed.
Go ahead, Robby.
I don't think any of us smoke, do we?
No, not a single person. You know,
a little pot here once in a while, but dang, it was more of a video trick, you know.
Yeah, I mean, to each his own. Just we try to stay in our lane, as they say. When it comes time to do the video, you try to be a good soldier and follow the plot line.
On the Ghost song, you guys had some vocals on it. Riley, how did you guys find when to use vocals on these songs and when to just continue jamming and kind of going with that flow?
You must have heard a live...
Yeah, I saw a live version where Riley was on stage, not from the album, but in concert, yeah.
Yeah, normally we only do instrumental. The point of this band is to be instrumental and not have to play behind the singer. But when I do the Doors stuff lately, we have been doing that Ghost song, which is a really cool song. I don't know if you heard the original It features a guy named Bob Glaub on bass. He's an amazing bass player, and he came up with this great part, and Kevin loves it. It's right up his alley.
I saw you and Ed performing Riders on the Storm, and you had not Riley, but a different singer. It was kind of more of a smaller club gig. But I actually had a question about that. I've got some questions from listeners. A 6-year-old and a 4-year-old had questions for Robby Krieger and the Soul Savages. The 6-year-old Robbie wanted to know, how did you make the storm sounds on Riders on the Storm with the Doors?
Well, that storm sound was recorded by Bruce Botnick, who was the engineer for the Doors. Every record the Doors ever made was engineered by Bruce. Before the Doors even existed, Bruce was hired to make some natural sounds for Elektra Records. That was one of their big sellers, was these sound records where they'd have thunder, all kinds of natural sound, volcanoes going off, waterfalls. So the thunder was one of those sounds.
Ed, a good question for you from the 4-year-old. She wanted to know, do you have a beard or mustache?
It's a, what do you call it? Used to be called a soul square, but now I guess it's a goatee when you got the mustache.
Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
You know, when you're young, you want to look older.
Soul patch.
And then when you're old, you want to look younger, but you're already stuck with your kind of signature look. So
yeah,
this thing has been with me for many moons.
And Robbie, I had one more question for you. This is from the 4-year-old girl. She wanted to know, after listening to Robby Krieger and the Soul Savages and the Doors, how did you get so good at guitar?
Well, I think if you really want to get good, you start when you're young. You know, if she's 4 years old, that's perfect. I didn't start till I was 14. Some of these kids online nowadays, the 5-year-old kids and stuff, and
they're shredding.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah.
Guys, on the new album, my favorite song is Shark Skin Suit. Can I ask how that came together?
I'm glad you like that one. I'm sure our manager, Tom Vitorino, would love that too, because that was his idea. One day he said, you know, guys, I love this record, but there's not enough high-energy songs. You know, we need one that'll really just come breaking out of the gate. It took us like 10 minutes to write that song and record
no, it didn't take 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, the first part of it anyway.
Yeah, the lick going down. Yeah, we were trying to get, Tom wanted us to do something up-tempo, and my idea was something like thinking of the old band The Time, because they had stuff that was bouncing like that. And you kind of, I think you can kind of feel it from that descending chord progression that it follows, and Kevin's funky bass line.
What band was that?
The Time.
Time?
That's why I've got all that synth brass on there. Robbie's got an old Jupiter 8 at the studio, which is an old analog synth that they used to use in the 80s, and I took advantage of that. Then Robbie put a beautiful blues melody in there over the verses, and it came to life. Looks like some guys in sharkskin suits, maybe at church on Sunday, doing that dance, that church dance.
Robbie, I know that you're a fan of Bob Dylan. I've heard you talk about him in the past. Have you guys ever ran into each other? Have you met Bob Dylan?
You know what? I have only met him one time at the Grammys, at the Hall of Fame inductions. And he was very nice, and he was my hero, so I didn't know what to say. I was awestruck. I felt like an idiot.
How was the anniversary at the Whiskey A Go-Go? Didn't you guys perform out there for the 60th?
Yeah, we sure did. And that was about a week ago. And, it was their 60th anniversary, so they got a bunch of the bands that played there during those early days. We didn't play there till maybe 2 years after it opened. But some of the guys, Johnny Rivers, I think, was the first guy to play there. And, I remember the Temptations played there, Otis Redding. Anyway, they got a bunch of Love played a couple of days before we played. So it was pretty cool.
I haven't been playing it nearly as long as Robbie, but it's an interesting spot. Mario was a beautiful cat, the guy that owned it, and passed it down to Michael, another nice cat, his son, and now Amy owns it. I mean, it's history. I think is some of the amusing things. Mario owned the Rainbow, and when you played the Roxy or the Whiskey back in the day, if you weren't like complete top shelf like the Doors were, he would feed you in the kitchen in the Rainbow. And then for a while, they would give you spaghetti in buckets in the dressing room for dinner. I know it's a weird thing to remember, but it's a lot of history in both those places, a lot of vibe.
Well, guys, I want to say thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. Congratulations on Robby Krieger and the Soul Savages self-titled album out now.
All right, man. Good to talk.
I appreciate you knowing that I did good in Hungary and Greece. You certainly did your homework. Makes you feel good.
I appreciate it, Ed. We'll see you.
Have a great day.